Welcome back to Wind Against Tide. I'm Joey Fernand, and we have Adrian loose here, Dave standing in the studio. It's Easter weekend. Well, we're coming to the end of Easter weekend, and we've got a big show today, guys. We've got Adrian's been to Tasmania. Dave's been to Port Fairy. Joey said he was going to make it happen but didn't go fishing. Brendan went to Lake's Entrance. We've got a King report. We've got an update on Adrian's tag at 100. And we've also got what grinds Dave's gears. You're not going to want to miss this show.
Thanks, Joey, for inviting us to our own show. Really love it.
Very nicely done, Joe. You can leave now. Thank you very much. You've done your job. No, stick around because we do love your input. Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't get together last week. We had overlapping trips, didn't we, Adrian? Because I was down on the southwest coast, and as I came back, you were jumping on a plane to Tasmania.
Yeah, that is correct, Dave. I was actually going to come on that tuna trip too, but the time frame wasn't there to make it happen.
Yeah, you were doing the classic Adrian non-committal, not wanting to say no, but I had to basically force no out of you. I'm like, Adrian, are you going to come on Tuesday? I really don't care. I just need to know. And you're like, oh, yeah, but I kind of want to go to Tassie with Jonah, and I don't know if we're going to be back in time for my flight at 6:30. I'm like, well, no, of course you're not. I'll be fishing until sundown, which is about 6, so you got no chance.
It doesn't sound like Adrian. He would have just doubled down on things if it was any other day.
Oh, I was trying to. I was actually trying to go to the tuna trip at Port Fairy, but Dave didn't allow it. He's like, no, you got to do one or the other. I'm like, well, sorry, Dave. This is my one and only chance to go to Eagle Hawk while the family's away. I've got to do it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about one and only chance. It's not going anywhere, but...
So you guys were in direct competition with each other?
Wow. Well, as I was writing...
There was a couple of wells there.
I've got to tell you something. The only competition we had was being Jonah's best friend.
Yeah, I was a little bit heartbroken because Jonah is my friend, basically. I've claimed ownership of him, and there was a little trip planned, and... I was thrown an invite, but it was like after the fact, you know what I mean, Joe? You know, one of those token ones?
Yeah, so Adrian was invited. You can come along if you like, Dave.
No, I think there was some scheming and planning behind my back. And then Adrian was like, nah, Dave won't be able to come. He's got to work. And then I was just given like a little token invite at the end, which, of course, I had to say no to. And they went off without me.
Unbelievable.
That is not very true at all. He actually invited us both about 2 weeks ago. He goes, it's April now, guys. Any second now, there's going to be tuna and swords caught.
Yeah, and then there was no further communication until there was a trip announced.
No, and then there was like, there was a few 80 to 90 kilo tuna caught and a few sword hookups.
Look, mate, I'm deeply hurt, but I'm going to move on with it for the sake of the show, all right?
Yeah, 100%. So if we're talking about chronologically what happened in the past week of fishing, your trip was first, Dave.
Yeah, so the big tuna bite is really good kind of everywhere at the moment. They're very widespread. And, yeah, it came up that I had another day free, and it was on a Tuesday again, and the weather happened to be good again. And I had a couple of things in my way that were going to stop me, but I did some shuffling. My boat was actually supposed to go in for a service, so I put that off for a couple of days and sort of made it happen. And
you got new clears as well, didn't you?
Yeah, got new clears and canopy on the Edencraft, so she's spick and span.
Hey, silly question. Why do you have to get new clears? Like,
you know why he has to get new clears, Joey? Because he punched out to the rigs at Apollo Bay 2 weeks ago in the rough weather, and it's just destroyed him.
Oh, really?
I thought it might have been why.
I thought it might have been the zips just seized up.
Wow, these things all have a finite lifespan, Joe.
Because it's got to be Dave proof. Like Dave's his boat and his gear is always mwah.
Yeah, well, they weather after. I don't have a shed to put my boat in. I wish I did. And I do put a cover on it when I can, but when it's getting used a lot, it kind of sits in the sun. The sun's not good for the clear material. And then just the canopy itself was like getting pretty old and had a bit of a tear starting in it, so they were well due to be replaced. But
I wonder if they've got, like, for boats as they do for cars, those reflector things that you could put maybe on your clear covers to stop the sun from destroying the plastic.
Well,
windshield.
There's something for you to work on, Joe. A good little product. You find a marker for it and you go ahead and make them. Maybe we'll get some wind against tide clear reflectors.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We have gone off track there a little bit, but yeah. So my brother Will, he's actually been trying to catch a big tuna with me for ages, much like you, Adrian.
Yes.
But the last couple of years, I've kind of had to slow down a bit on my traveling, so I've done a lot of local big tuna trips. So that obviously a lot harder to catch them locally, and he's struck out a fair few times. He came with me to Apollo Bay the other day, and we had a shocking trip. But to his credit, he's kept on going. And when I said I'm going to go down to Port Fairy, he was very keen to come along.
I'm sure he was very keen because I've noticed since he's done a fair bit of fishing tuna trips with you, he started his own fishing personality page on Instagram. So he needs to get those posts going, doesn't he?
Well, he told me that he kind of regrets that because now all these random, let's call them fans.
Yeah.
He's been getting a lot of random people adding him, and he's a little bit stage frightened.
He's overwhelmed.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know. I get all these ads now, and I don't want them. I don't know these people, so I'm kind of regretting it a little bit.
Well, he is cursed with carrying the great name of his brother.
It's not easy living in my shadow. I'll tell you what. It's like
Especially his little brother. That Dave's his little brother.
he's a bit like
remember that.
he's a bit like Shane Lee. Isn't that Brett Lee's brother's name?
I think so.
Both played cricket for New South Wales, but you wouldn't know about Shane, would you?
Yeah,
Well, I do,
right.
obviously. But we ran down to Port Fairy, and only a day trip available again. As I got there the night before, I heard a little bit of word of a really good bite at Port Mac as well. In hindsight, I kind of wish I went there because it was crazy good, but nonetheless, still plenty of good fish around Port Fairy. And so we shot straight out at first light, and we got to the area where we were, where me and Adrian got fish the week before, and the water was quite green, and it had sort of all changed up a little bit. So it took us a good couple of hours to find where the fish had moved to, and they were pushing out to the southwest.
Okay.
So I probably had another 5K out, a little bit deeper, and just in that cleaner water.
Yep.
So a couple of hours trolling, and we had a big blind strike.
Oh, wow. I love a good blind
A
strike.
big blindy, probably one of the blindest tuna bites I've ever had. We were in the zone.
But you didn't have anything.
There was
to dive
nothing
to?
happening, no bait, nothing on the sounder. This rod just cracked off. Cracked off, Joey.
Cracked off.
And
Correct off right off the meat of the bat.
a real big run. And we got Will all harnessed up, first time in a harness and all that, and he did really well on the rod. But it's quite amazing. Like this is probably about a 50, 60 kilo fish, maybe a bit more. Hard to tell. And the difference between...
So was that smaller than the one I got?
Oh, yeah. Yep. The difference in staying power between that fish and a 100 kilo fish is quite remarkable.
I think we went
Sorry,
to
I had
Port
to have
Fairy.
a sip of water. My throat's going a bit scratchy.
I think we went to Port Fairy the week before, and these fish were just monstrous and green and unstoppable. Like, you heard of people fighting these fish. Like, I guess the standard fighting fish was about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and heard lots of people fighting from over 3 hours.
And how did Will go on the fish? How quickly did he get in?
Probably about 20 minutes. On Adrian's someone said the other day, Adrian's rod and reels that sit behind Joe there's a couple missing because they're at my house, need to be rigged up and given a run. So we gave him a run.
Okay, I'm going to give you a guess who it is. So the name is called Fish Pig 500.
What are you talking about? Is
The
someone
name-
calling?
No, the name of the person who wrote that into me. I had no idea who it was, but the name says Fish Pig 500.
Fish pig. Sounds like something Brendan would call himself.
Okay, so gill, fish, ham, pig. Gillum 500. It's Rodney.
Really?
Yes.
Fish pig.
Yes.
500, is that for his 500 Maritimo?
Yes, that's correct. So he got us a beauty. So I had no idea until I spoke to him on the phone. I go, was that you?
Oh, good on
Yeah, I had to get an Instagram. Everyone knew about your fish before me. And he's like, how are people knowing this? And he didn't have Instagram, now he does. So.
Oh, well, how's he even? We're only on Instagram, so how's he
Exactly.
been keeping up with events?
Well, people are texting him third hand about our events.
There
so
you go.
Now he's straight on it.
Yeah. So we've got that fish up. And absolutely, once again, to his credit, I said to him in the car ride down, I said, Will, there's no keeping, by the way. We didn't even want to keep as much as we did last week. It was a bit of a stuff up, and there's no keeping this week. And he was just all silent. And I'm like, look, if you want to keep one, I'm not going to say no, because everyone should have the right to keep their first big fish, but I'm not touching it. I'm not processing it. I'm not icing it. I'm not having anything to do with it. I barely want it touching my boat. And he just kind of sat there and he's like, yeah, no, we'll release it. And so
Didn't
anyway,
you give him a chunk of the barrels we got the week before that?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, look, he was honest. He's like, I really just wanted a photo with it. It wasn't really about eating
So
it,
you
which
did
is
drag
probably
it on the boat?
Yeah, so we got it up and it was hooked really nice, and I took a couple of wraps on the trace, and
Yep.
it was been well behaved, unlike that bloody fish the other day.
It well behaved when it was dragged into the boat, because sometimes they can go a bit psycho.
Yeah, so we pulled the side door on the Edencraft out, and I put the fish bag over there to make it like a slide.
Yeah,
wet
slip
that
and
down.
slide. Wet.
And we dragged that fish in, and it just sat there, and we we could talk about the tag in a second.
Yes,
but,
I was going to bring up the controversial tag.
Were they your tags or Dave's tags?
Where it was tagged, Joey.
Well, hang on, we'll talk about that in
We
a
do
second.
know tuna. Yeah, we'll talk about. Let Dave finish his story.
Yeah.
here.
We got some nice photos, which I think you've already flashed up there, Adrian.
Yeah.
Of the fish on the deck, and we spun it. We did a bit of a piece of camera, spun it around and slid it back out the door, and it swam off really good, like genuinely perfect release, like
So
healthy
kicked
fish.
off beautifully.
Now this tag, I've had
Okay. Me and
messages.
Jonah are in Tassie. Like after we saw this photo, and Jonah goes, "Who tagged that fish?" I'm like, "There's no way it's Dave. I can guarantee you that." Because so tuna obviously have two dorsals.
Yep.
The first one, which is obviously spiny, and then you got the one at the back, the second dorsal, and that's where you put the tag in, the back one.
Because if you've ever fielded a tuna, that second one has all the fin. I think they're called
Glyrophores or something.
Glyrophores.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard that word. You could have made that up.
So
I
hang
don't
on,
know.
there's a spiny dorsal and a not so spiny one.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So you're saying that potentially if it was tagged in the not so spiny one, that the tag could fall out?
No, you tag it in the back one, which
Yeah.
is not the spiny dorsal.
Okay.
No, it is. The back one has
is it?
the rays. No, I'm talking about inside
Yeah.
the fish.
Okay.
So the back one, the finlet ray thingies go way further into the fish, which gives something for the tag to lock in behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's where we've always tagged them. We've done many pieces to camera about this. We've made like how to tag videos. There's a little picture on the tag card. If you actually look here on this tag card, see there's a little arrow and a dot on the rear dorsal.
Oh yeah. Where did on the second
So
on the second one? So
That's where you place the tag.
doesn't get much clearer than that.
It does not, unless you're Brendan Wing. Now, in his defence, we put a tag in this fish before we had it fully secured at the side of the boat. just
Okay,
in
if you
case-
have a look here, guys, on the screen there, you got
There's
this
a
spiny
string.
dorsal fin and a soft dorsal fin, and that's where you got to tag it.
Thanks, we already covered that.
Yeah, I was just
While
showing
you were there
Jonah.
looking for that photo,
yeah,
where you got way ahead of you.
thank you.
In Brendan's defence, he did tag it while it was still swimming beside the boat because we didn't know if it would go nuts, and they're very hard to tag tuna.
In the water.
Yeah, because they're hard to control. They don't have a big bill to hold onto or anything like that.
And they often, when you go inside, they're on their side. So
Yeah, exactly.
There's also the way the light reflects on the water as well. It can be
Oh, no. That was clearly placed in the
Now,
the wrong dorsal.
I've defended him, and now I'm going to attack. So he did purposely aim for that spot, that is for sure, thinking that was the correct tagging spot. And then when I questioned him about it, he said DPI were the ones that are wrong. He just did not want to admit any fault. But anyway, But I still think that tag's going to hang in there. That's why I didn't re-tag it, but Jonah says I should have tagged it twice. But anyway, we set free a very nice tuna with a tag. And actually, Adrian, I was going to say to you, on that day I tagged another probably 4 or 5 fish.
Oh, wow. Well done, Dave.
I'm just wondering if you'd like those on your tag at 100 count.
No, thank you. I'm fine.
Okay, stubborn. Very stubborn.
Well, I wasn't there. How can you add that to my account?
Well, I just thought we could loosen up the rules a bit since you're so far off it.
Oh, you want to make it a wind against tide account?
Yeah. Well, you'd straight up probably get another 10 there that I've tagged throughout the year. And I just thought you could use the help. But, just to finish up on that trip, the other really cool thing that happened was that we marked up some fish under this bait ball and they wouldn't hit lures. So I was like, we'll stop and have a cast at them. While we're casting at them, I was just marking them on the sounder under the boat. And I was like, let's try cubing. So I had a couple of slabs of pillies and we held these fish under the boat for probably a good 2 hours on the cubes. They only left because we ran out of cubes in the end. And we caught some fish stripping pilchards down. I got one that was probably, 35 kilo. Brendan lost actually quite a good one. That was... it chafed him off in the end because he dropped his leader down to 60 pound to get a bite.
Okay.
Because these fish are pretty fussy on the cube. I had 120 fluorocarbon on. He had 60 pound on. And
Do you think the lighter leader helped?
Oh, definitely helps. You get way more bites on lighter leader, but 60 pounds on those bigger tuna's teeth is very sketchy.
Now, I
through butter.
heard he was trying wicked tuna style to wind this fish in. Is that correct?
Well, at the point of losing the fish, he had put the rod in the rod holder and was trying to do the old rod holder crank, which... Yeah.
Knowing Winger, he would have been like, I'll make it look cool.
Yeah. I think that was the plan.
He really knows how to Donald Trump up anything that he does. He's like, guys, watch me do this tuna. It's going to be the greatest tuna wind you've ever seen.
Maybe I'll land the fish. Maybe I won't land the fish. We'll see.
I'll still be the greatest.
Yeah, so that didn't go so good. So that's my trip. And we also probably lost a couple of good fish. We had one on the same lure that the diver that you got your big fish on the other week, take a fair bit of line, spit the hook. I watched a fish try and eat one of our short rigger lures and just missed it by about an inch in the spread. So there was a fair few good fish there, but they were definitely starting to get on the move a little bit. So, successful trip. Would have loved a real big one, but, pretty happy to put a tag and set free one of those bigger model fish anyway.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because there is a lot of fish in that size range that are obviously on the decks of boats, a lot of them. You go to the boat ramp, there's a lot of 40s to 60s.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting size class.
Which is incredible because you guys have talked on the podcast many times, either 10 to 15 kilos or 100 kilos. Like there's been a real lack of these mid-sized fish.
And it's interesting that we've actually got a tag in one now. Hopefully the tag stays in because it's not in the correct dorsal. But it'll be interesting to see if this one gets tagged at 100 kilos in a couple of years because it's pretty close to that 100 kilo mark.
Yeah, no, it'd be very interesting. Hopefully it turns up again and the tag stays in.
Yeah.
I think it should. Honestly, it was in a reasonable spot.
Yeah.
Let's not be too picky. People jab tags all over the place on Marlin and they stay in.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching one of your videos with obviously tag at 100.
Yeah.
You want to be able to do it because you want to hopefully recapture one of those tags. Like, have you guys actually ever caught a tagged tuna before?
I think Jonah has. Jonah's had a couple of recaptures of his own tuna that he's caught, which is pretty cool. And he said that he knows people that have tagged hundreds and never had a recapture. So
it must be like winning Tats Lotto.
Yeah.
The Powerball Division 1. Yes.
But, the more tags you got out there, the more chance of getting a recapture is.
Which is great that you guys are advocating it because, that would be really cool.
I just can't see how people can keep 3 or 4 of these 50 to 100 kilo fish and then go fishing the next day and catch another 3.
Yeah, I know. You know what, though? It is such a mental hurdle for people to let these fish go sometimes because there is that want to get a photo with their fish and a lot of it is just that. And then when all the adrenaline and everything wears off, you're left with all this meat and you got to work out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Even Will was saying the other day, it's great that I got that photo in the boat because that's kind of the main reason I wanted to land the fish.
That's pretty responsible. That's good.
Yeah. So, I don't know, Adrian. It's definitely very interesting. But enough about my trip. Let's talk about your trip where you abandoned me.
I abandoned you. Well, basically,
the traitorous Tasmanian trip.
I booked a ticket to Tassie and...
Oh, did you now?
Yeah. I just went over there. There wasn't much going on at all. I said, Jonah, don't worry. I know where the fish are. And, we caught some great fish. And that's the end of the trip. No.
All right, nice. Moving on. No. Yeah, come on, give us the rundown.
All right, the rundown is these Tassies, they live in Hobart and they can't do a day trip to a place called Eaglehawk Neck because it's in just over an hour. So they've got to get accommodation. They've got to get everything sorted. But
nobody travels in the fishing world like Victorians. You know that,
no,
don't you?
it's brutal.
Yeah.
Like he goes, you Victorians, you guys are like cowboys just racing all over the state to get that big trophy fish.
Yeah, we've done 9-hour day trips and stuff before down there. Yeah, they freak if they have to drive more than an hour. They've got it pretty good.
Yeah, so basically I got there late. I think it was Tuesday night and we got up I think we left his place about 5 a.m. on the Wednesday morning and got to a place called Eaglehawk Neck and I think we launched about 6:30. It was actually quite late by our standards.
Yeah.
And Jonah goes, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, obviously we're going sword fishing because there's been a couple caught like in the last week and a few hookups and stuff.
It's a much nicer place to sword fish out of than lakes, isn't it?
It is because the difference is the shelf is only 20 kilometres away.
Good grief.
And you're only towing the boat an hour from a major city.
I don't know if it's only even 20, is it? It's very close.
Yeah, it's very close. Well, once you're at the rock, like the Hippolytes there, it's, a 10, 15-minute, boat ride.
Yeah.
You can see the rocks of Eaglehawk Neck from
clearly.
Yeah.
When you're on the shelf. Yeah, so he goes, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, we'll just do what you locals do, which is you go past the rock, put a spread out, and if you don't catch, you keep going on the shelf. So literally Jonah put some spread out. I go, oh, you know what? I've never caught an albacore before. I'd love to catch an albacore. He goes, well, I caught a few the other day, so we're in a chance. We're, a sure chance of probably getting one. And he just finished putting out his 4-rod spread. We only had 4 rods, Dave, because he wanted to declutter the boat.
Oh, he did he?
Yes, he goes, so I've decluttered the boat because, I didn't want to bring an extra tuna rod. That was his sacrifice.
But we won't worry. You didn't want to sacrifice one of the several eskies and all that stuff that's on the deck?
Yeah.
1 rod?
Yeah, basically. So he finished putting his last rod out and I go, oh my God, we're on. It's running.
Yeah.
And literally he's like, oh, pump it. You got to pump it really hard because the seal's going to get it. I go, I'm on 60 kilo gear. It's not even really pulling string and I'm just, doing it.
You're just trying to save at the moment, weren't you?
No, you dominated that tuna.
Your first big Albie mangles and Jonah's trying to ruin it for you.
Yeah, and then anyway, we get colour. I'm like, oh, I think it's a bluefin because it looks around that 20 kilo thing. And it gets a bit closer and I saw the pectoral fins or pectoral fins, however you want to say it. And Jonah's like, holy crap, it's a barrel Albie. And
he got so excited. There was like a spring in his step.
Yeah. So if you have a look at that is like just a monstrous Albie. And as you can see, we put it right at the back of the rock there.
All I see when you hold that out is a bunch of palmers.
Oh, yeah. Good old chicken palmers.
We made him into palmers, didn't we?
It was bloody delicious.
Yeah.
It was.
So albacore, people that don't know, they refer to it as chicken of the sea. So what do these boys naturally go and do? They turned it into a chicken dish.
Some
we
people
did. So
some
if you have a
people
look
call
at this.
Oh, wow. Look at that. So you've got golden crusts.
Yes.
And you've got perfectly brown cheese, and you've got that's a albacore fillet that's been crumbed and dusted.
Crumbed it. Yep.
Panko crumbed it. And what sort of ham did you use?
Just the packeted like ham slices.
Yep.
Just big stuff.
Joe, did you know that I call chickens albacore of the land?
He loves it.
That's pretty good.
But we'll continue on with my trip here. So we caught that albacore and he's like, oh, do you want to keep going for them? Like, we'll just finish our lap of the rock, and then we really came here to catch swordfish because there was a couple caught. So we go all that way to the shelf. Oh, it's a long journey. Another 15 minutes from where we were.
Oh, man.
It's not easy, is it?
No. And we get there and he's like, we'll just go to this mark and start backing up and stuff. And Jonah's nodding down and he's like, I think we can, did you see that? We can bites and stuff. And then he's got this great big electric reel. This thing is bloody amazing. Like, there's no hand cranking or anything when you need to wind your bait up. It just makes sword fishing so easy.
Yeah.
And he's actually caught a sword in that.
Cheating. Absolutely cheating.
Oh,
I see over in the States and stuff, they use all these electric reels and it really irritates me because all they're literally doing is watching the boat catch a fish.
No, this one you can actually
Hand
harness
crank
it.
it.
Yeah, that's the point of it.
I still borderline don't like it, but when you see it over the States, they got the full electrics.
Yeah.
They don't touch the rod. And then they're
And you know
still
what?
claiming.
They've got the swivel butts too, so they
Yeah, I
can move the rod.
And then old mate's standing with his fish like he's actually done something. It's like, so well done. You've done well watching the boat wind a fish in for you.
Well, if it's not the electric reel, you've got the special drill bit that sits into the...
Yeah. Well, you can actually convert a Tiagra behind you. I think they're called hooker electric, and they, make an attachment electric motor that clips onto the side. And you can unattach that when you hook up to a fish, so it's just a normal Tiagra again.
So which method do you prefer?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm old school, hand crank.
Oh, what? All day long?
All day long, buddy. You got to earn it. These fish are the gladiators of the sea. They deserve the respect for someone to put the effort into wind them in themselves.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And we caught our first fish on that, so
Yeah.
now I'm prepared to be lazy.
Look, I'm all for electrics for bottom species because they don't deserve my... No. They deserve respect too, but they're not really sports fish, so you may as well just crank those fillets up, baby. Crank them up.
100%.
Hey, when you're on the sword grounds, is that the same grounds where they catch the Tassie trumpeter?
No, that's a bit shallow.
Yeah. Well, the shelf kind of drops off pretty quick, so it's not far from where you'd get the swords.
That rock where Adrian got his barrel albie, they get them pretty close to there sometimes. Joey?
It's funny because you get a lot of shelf species come inshore there, which is a bloody amazing.
That's
I
awesome.
wish we had that kind of fishery here.
Yeah,
I might see what old Jonah boy's up to later on this week.
Look, it's got me pretty tempted actually. It's a very nice, easy trip, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Let's roll, Dave.
clear some room, Jonah.
Well, I'll continue our story. So we had the baits down and we're getting bites and we wound them up and we ended up being ravaged by squids all day. I think we dropped about 6 or 7 bricks for the day, which is a fair effort.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have to drive 3 hours to the shelf, so we still managed to get about 6 or 7 drops in.
6 or 7 bricks. How many hours of fishing is that?
Well, Jonah tends to time his brick drops. He likes to have it down, backing up on the bait for half an hour, then he lets it drift up for 15 minutes, and then we start the process again. So we got so about a 45-minute drop per bait.
Yeah, nice.
So that took up the main sort of 2/3 of your day, right?
Well, basically the whole day because we've no longer in daylight savings here, Joey, and it gets dark at about 5:30.
Now, I heard you had one of the many obstacles that can appear when you're side fishing happen to you, and your baits were getting absolutely hounded by a deep sea creature.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
The deep sea creature.
Mm.
What do you mean, like squid?
The squids.
Yeah.
You got squidded.
Yeah, we just spoke about that 2 seconds ago.
I did, but I was busy on Instagram.
Dave,
I was promoting some questions for us.
I was like, oh dear, did I not remember something that happened on my
Oh no, I
trip?
was completely sitting here ignoring you.
Yeah, so
I was politely smiling and yes.
yeah.
Okay.
So then what happened?
Yeah, and then James like, look, do we want to do one more drop for the last light bite on the swords? I'm like, nah, tomorrow's probably better conditions to do an all-day grind on the swords.
Oh, that drop was going to be the one too.
Yeah, probably. You could be right. Anyway, it's like, okay, let's go in and do a troll around the rock. And Lockie Nichols had messaged him. No, not Lockie, Stewie Nichols had messaged Jonah, goes, I may have seen some barrels bust up off Little Rock in the waterfall in between there.
It's quite a big distance between those two.
Yeah. Well, he reckons he saw him in 2 locations. So.
2 locations. Gotcha.
And so Jonah's like, oh, Little Rock's closer to where we are. We'll go there. And we got to, I guess, the northern side of Little Rock and put the spread out and went around anti-clockwise and made it 2/3 of the way around. And the long rigger
Cracked off.
and then it dropped. And then 20 seconds later, it went again.
Cracked off.
Oh,
And I picked it out of the rod holder, and it wasn't really pulling drag at all. I'm like, oh, it's probably a schoolie. It was just kind of ticking off and then stopping and stalling. And I'm like, oh, I think we've got a schoolie on here. And I rip it out, and it just absolutely destroys the reel, like strips the top shot off, and must have taken 150 metres of line.
Yeah, nice.
And it was a very short-lived fight there.
Yeah, so one of the major issues in Tasmania, especially Eagle Hook Neck, is seal population have worked out that there's a free feed for them when the game fishing boats hook tuna. So they've become very well adapted to stealing fish, even the really big ones. They know the change in the sound of a motor when it slows down and pulls out of gear, and they know the sound of a ratchet when it takes off when they're straight onto it. So unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to get a fish in without seals making a mess of it.
And
But
this isn't a modern thing. This has been happening for years and years.
my first barrel I ever caught was
yes.
pretty much where you caught yours,
Yeah.
an exact same thing, sealed.
What do you do? Like, what is the way to mitigate that?
Jonah's very well accustomed to what happens here, and he's on it. He knows exactly how to get these beasts.
So talk us through
because
it.
a lot of guys will lose these fish. They'll panic and lose them. So
I guess he sort of works in with the seals. He works in with them a bit.
So what you got to do, you got to let it run. And mind you, I reckon we had this fish beat because it came to the surface. Dave doesn't believe this, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So he sprinted off, and I was collecting line, turning its head, and then it was on the surface. And then the seals got it when it was on the surface, and it was game over.
It's amazing how they sprint off. It's almost like they've got seals trying to kill them.
Well, we often speak about this a lot. Like the tuna that you're going to get in quick are the ones that sprint off
Yeah.
because they absolutely spend themselves and they're done for. And this is what this tuna had done. And it just came to the surface, and that's when the
So
seals...
what kind of fight time are we talking here?
Oh, like 15 to 20 minutes.
That's an easy barrel.
Yeah.
Or maybe not so easy because there was a giant seal chasing it.
No, not just a giant seal, multiple giant seals. These things pull the fish down, and you're like, oh, they're pulling it down. So what Jonah does, he goes, okay, we've just got to drive over, be real calm, and just collect line. Then we're going to get it as close to the boat as possible, and the seals should let go.
So real casual, like.
Yeah, he goes, this is how people lose these fish over here. They panic and start trying to yank it off the fish.
Crank it and go hard
because
on it.
you got seals on top of your line and everything.
Yeah.
They're just all over the fish.
You got a belly in the line, and they're doing their seal hops.
And he goes, the people that lose them are trying to yank the hook and the fish off.
Well, you're never going to rip 100-kilo tuna away from a pack of seals.
No.
You've just got to drive up to them and try and gaff it back off.
Yeah, so you got to be cool, calm, collected about this and just make your way over, and you'll eventually get that shot where you can grab the leader and get a gaff in it.
You've got to act real casual like.
Yeah.
Like act like you're not interested, and then wham, gaff.
And then what happened next was quite freaky because I don't believe this actually happens often in Eagle Hawk Neck.
No, not to this extent.
So we had got the gaffed it, and I'll show you a video here we got here. This is crazy. I can't pull anymore. My gaff's stuck. Hang on. So seals jumped in there.
Oh, wow.
I'm stuck. I'm hurting.
Yep.
And now there's one on top of me, on top of the fish.
Okay.
Just drive.
This really needs to be viewed.
It's like a 120 kilo fish.
Massive. It's absolutely massive.
So Adrian's pulled
Oh my god.
this fish on top of himself.
Yeah.
And then add to that, the seals jumped on top of the tuna in the boat.
Yeah, so I'm like, I've got 120 kilos of fish, and then a seal jumped on top of that fish. There was stacks on me. It was like unheard of. I'm pinned down on the ground.
That's just nuts. If you're listening via the podcast app, definitely check this out on YouTube. It's crazy. And I think the reason why you had that seal in the boat, as you can see, the fish gets gaffed, pulled into the boat, but that huge tuna tail is actually sticking out the side like a like a cat toy, like just dangling there, and
That's exactly what it
Seal
is.
toy.
yeah.
You go
Yeah,
into the pet shop and got any seal toys there?
Yeah, it's like one of those fish that you put the battery in that's like
Oh yeah, the
waving.
singing trout.
Look, you both looked pretty shocked, you and the seal, when it jumped in. You were
Yeah.
both like, oh, excuse me. And then-
Well, we see what these seals do here. They rip the throats out of the tuna.
Yeah.
I'm like, my throat's just there for the taking.
Well,
you could just grab my throat.
it's no joke. You were in quite a compromising position.
I was
You were-
pinned down on the ground.
Yeah.
I couldn't move.
Lucky Jonah was there to save the day.
Exactly.
And-
I was pinned between a tuna and his mess on the boat, his clutter.
And like you just had the cameras rolling, you were just like, okay, actually, how do I get out of this? And you had to unclip the game gear. You had to pass Jonah the rod and somehow wriggle your way.
Well, Jonah had to gaff the fish off me so it could slide off me and I could get out. Because what happened is when we pulled the fish in, my foot was under the gunnel,
Yep.
under the gunnel pocket. So my ankle's twisted under that. Well, I've got a fish on top of me as well. So I had no chance of even using my legs to, help push this fish off.
Wow.
Bloody insane. Congratulations, Adrian.
Yeah,
No,
we
thanks.
haven't said that.
Biggest tuna, man. Very, very well done.
You've had a ripping couple of weeks of fishing, haven't you? You're on a
mate.
hot streak.
Yeah, I've just got that tuna luck, It's just followed me around. There was no sign of tuna at Eaglehawk Neck and I rock up there. No, just joking.
And that's a proper big one. Down there, you don't get heaps of ones over 120. So to get a 124
Yeah.
is a really nice fish.
Well, the lead up to when I came there was maybe 3 or 4 tuna caught between 70 and 90 kilo
Yeah.
at the rock there. And we actually called Stewie Nichols in to be the weighmaster at the boat ramp there. So he's come down to weigh it and he goes, wow, this is the biggest tuna I've seen in a long time come out of here.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought they regularly got over 100 there.
No, they're commonly like that 90 to sort of 110 down there, which is, I guess, more so what we've been seeing at Port Fairy, although there has been some absolute giants we'll touch on a bit later. But, the proper really big fish, it's not so common. But so Adrian's probably plucked out one of the better ones.
Yeah, and to Jonah's credit there, he was the only boat left at 5 o'clock fishing that rock.
That just blows my mind. Like, I've been to Eaglehawk Neck a couple of times and I don't understand how the boats, like, they're packed it in by 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I know.
It's amazing.
You just hear them starting to death spiral on the radio and going back. Go back to the pub and you're like, yes, that's it.
But like everything is so close there. Like in Victoria, we're used to driving 3-4 hours to the location, then an hour in the boat, then repeat that process all again. Like you're at Eaglehawk Neck, you talk about 20 kilometres out to the shelf.
We're talking about 8 Ks to the rock there.
8 Ks to the rock. Like, why would you not? It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's why then Adrian and Jonah had the advantage. So
Like I was saying, to Jonah's credit, he stayed out and decided to troll around the right place at the right time, and we got that hookup. And we got, Stewie to weigh it in. There it is there, me and Jonah next to it, and it went 124.4 kilo.
Fantastic.
did you enjoy meeting Stewie? He's a bloody legend, isn't he?
He is, and his young son there, Sammy, he was the man-powered gantry. So they do have a proper gantry there, guys, but they reserve that for sharks and broadbills.
Yeah.
So it's quite tall.
Yeah.
So if you hang a tuna on that, you can't really get a good photo. So you've got to use the man-powered one there
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
for the tuna.
Yeah, no, so many a tuna has been hung off where your ones were. So welcome to part of Eaglehawk Neck history, Adrian.
Great to be part of that.
And how was my old boat, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. So I got to Tassie and I said to Jonah, I've caught some great fish out of this boat. Let's continue the trend. And he goes to me, what are you trying to say, Adrian? Trying to say that I haven't caught great fish in this boat? I go, well, that's why you've got me here, isn't it?
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Although,
he's caught some really good.
He's caught a few big swords, lots and lots of big tuna. He's done it proud.
I think Helen caught a really big swordfish out of that boat.
Yeah, no, they did. They got a couple of good swords, caught lots of tuna over 100. He's definitely done her proud, apart from sticking brackets and things on the back of it that spray water everywhere.
I did take some videos for you. And this is part of the reason, because when we got back to the ramp after we weighed this fish, everything was just wet of mine and blood.
Yeah.
So you know what happened? Jonah goes, "Oh, go get the car. Go. Do you want me to go in with all this blood?" Goes, "Oh, actually, no. I'll go get the car."
Yeah.
And we put the boat on, and I said, "I've got to go down the boat ramp and wash my clothes." He goes, "Oh," I go, "See that my undies, how they're red? These were grey." He goes, No, they weren't. I go, "Yes. Now they're full, just blown red, like scarlet red."
Yeah.
And I'm trying to wash my clothes. Like I had trackies on, a grey t-shirt.
Like ye olde times.
Yeah.
Washing
And
down
I'm
at the-
washing it down at the ramp, and I just filled the water up with blood, and I'm like, "This is not cleaning." And I gave up after 10 minutes. I said, "Sorry, clothes. I've got to put you in the bin."
Oh,
Yeah.
it's done the
So I'm naked at the boat ramp,
naked and afraid.
just full.
Was it dark?
naked. Yeah, it was dark.
Oh, that's all right
Yeah.
then. Nah, no one would have seen
Yeah,
it.
so those clothes are in the bin.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, there's no recovering that. No amount of nappy sand's going to get them clean.
Yeah. Well done, Adrian.
No, thanks, guys. It was, I had a lot of luck to catch that tuna because we weren't really going to target barrels, and we still didn't. But you know what? We were still going to fish all day the next day and half day the day after. But because we caught this big tuna, it's game over. The trip's done. We
Yeah.
need to process and look after what we've caught.
Yep.
And yeah,
Very,
so that was
very
day
responsible.
That was day 2, processing the fish and packing it.
and then because I didn't book a return flight, I left that open because you never know what could happen.
Yes.
So
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, good roll. Well done.
no, thanks.
And yeah, very happy for you. You've ticked that one off the list. And I heard that you left some items down there. So
Yeah, my gum boots and my life jacket because
so
they
you
were
get-
very wet, and I wasn't going to try shove them in my bag because I had to smuggle 10 kilos of tuna home too. So luckily, I left some heavy items there to bring some fish home.
After hearing of everyone's trips off Lakes Entrance for swords on the weekend, it's made me really feel that I'm just going to, from now on, go down there for sword fishing. It's
Mate,
just so much more
I
relaxing.
can guarantee you it probably works out cheaper and
Yeah.
it's more easy on your mental health.
Yep.
Because driving 4.5 hours to lakes, towing a boat, then 3 hours out to sea and coming back home, that does a lot on your physical and mental
That
well-being.
stuffs you.
100%.
Like you're tired for like the whole working week and you get to the weekend, it's like, I'm just going to rest.
Yeah.
But you go to Tassie, you're full of energy, you're relaxed, and
And you can just like literally get off the boat and walk away and leave it for Jonah.
he did say, because I'm like, I should try book a ticket tonight. And he goes, "Oh, yes, Dave's done that before. He's left me with 120 kilo fish that I had to process and clean the boat up." And
Yeah, but do you know why?
because the swordfish were
Yes.
biting off.
Because Brendan called me panicking because we'd been trying to catch swordfish for so long and then people were catching them in Victoria. And he's like, "Oh, I need you to come back." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." I literally got on that plane after fishing all day for barrels, got home, drove to his house, jumped in his car and drove to Malakuta.
Yeah.
Tell me what that would have done for your mental
Oh, mate.
strength.
I was cooked. I was absolutely cooked. But that's a story for another day. So,
And Adrian, has the great fishing in Tasmania continued since you've been there last week?
Well, the day after we landed that big barrel there, the old sword lord came back into action.
the OG.
Yes, the original sword god, Leo.
Yep.
What's his last
Leo-
name?
Leo Miller.
Leo Miller, of course. Yeah,
Come on, mate.
yeah. And
The tuna chaser.
So all day, I believe on the radio, people were just on the shelf saying, "Oh, we're getting ravished by squid." And to Leo's credit, he stayed out there. And mind you, first drop of the day, he got like a 50, 60 kilo bluefin deep dropping.
Wow.
So he had the luck on his side already. And then later that day, he hooked up to I think about a 200 kilo sword, was it? Did they weigh that?
I don't know if they did. I think it was 190 to 200.
Yeah. It was
So-
a bloody big one.
Yeah, no, really good one. Well done, Leo. And it's so good to see him back out there and catching fish because, he was the one that pioneered a lot of it at the start. And
Yeah.
the credit needs to be paid. Other people have since taken it up and been successful, but
Like the Jonas.
yeah, Jonas. Jonas just waited till someone else worked it out and then copied him. But yeah, no, you got to be you got to give the people that go out and do the hard yards the credit. It's good to see him still getting some reward for that these years later. So.
And mind you, if we didn't catch that bluefin, we might have been half a chance catching a sword that next day.
Yeah.
We would have ground all day that next day.
You got bluefin distracted.
We did. And you know what? We had lures in the water for a total of 20 minutes that day. 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes you just get lucky, don't you? And sometimes you get very unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It all comes around, Adrian.
So, Jonah, don't be surprised if you get a call from Dave and Joey in the next coming days or weeks.
Yes, I've been very busy with playing music and doing real estate. I said I was going to do something, but let's.
He's got a sparkle in his eye now.
Yes.
He's put some pieces of the puzzle
You know
together,
what?
and that's what he's planning on doing.
Last week on Port Fairy, I invited Joey multiple times, so he's missed out on that.
I missed out on a couple of weeks of
Yeah.
exceptional fishing.
He called me last week and he goes, Dave, are you fishing Wednesday? I'm like, ooh, so close, Joe. I'm going Tuesday. He's like, damn it.
I've got to say, this has probably been the best barrel season I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen so much fish caught in such a, the start of the season, basically. Have you ever seen this, Dave?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it good a few times.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, it is going really well, though. Definitely is. And with that, we should check out some of our other reports from around Australia, and we'll have a look at the hookup.
Did we get to Brendan?
Well, we're going to.
Okay, we'll get into that on the hookup.
Yeah, he'll be involved in it. Welcome to the hookup. You like that, Joe?
I love it.
Okay.
Can we get like Suraj, King Kong, Donkey Kong?
We can play it. It doesn't make any sense for this moment. We can play that.
Yeah.
Yeah. King Kong, Donkey Kong.
He loves it.
There you go. So we may as well touch on Brendan's trip and Lakes Entrance as a whole first up, since we've already mentioned that. So
Just before you do that, I just want to make an open challenge to Brendan Wing. He gets mentioned quite a lot on this podcast, but here is an open invitation to come and join in the studio. I know you're listening, Benny.
well, he
Open.
told me that he just likes listening to it as a fan and doesn't want to come on. So we'll just have to
Is that
respect his
right?
wishes, Joe.
Okay.
Is that actually right?
That's what he said to me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And apparently he's busy, allegedly. So there was a good weather window out of Lakes Entrance for swordfish, and plenty of boats went out there. And looks like only the one sword came in, and it was from
The Dreamcatcher.
prolific sword catcher Richie Albella on Dreamcatcher. I
That
think,
was obviously a charter, so he would have been off Bass or something, I reckon.
yeah, somewhere out there. So I think that there was also a couple caught off Malakuta by Al McGlashan. I think he got one and
Yes.
released one or something like that.
They got like an 80 kilo one or something.
We've been contacted by Joel Ryan. He wants to put out a public report, a warning, almost. I don't know if he's stitching me up here or not.
Is this the Fugu?
Well, I don't know if this is like he's just trying to stitch me up here or not. But apparently, some sort of deep sea toadfish was biting everyone's line. That's what he's gone with. So he
big
reckons they
toadfish.
went through like nipping at the line. He reckons they went through like 3 reels, and apparently Richie went through like 6 reels of braid, where it's just been bitten off by these toadfish things.
Oh,
Now, we
I know what
have
it is.
lost a few outfits to those false killer whales.
Yes, we
Those
have.
big black dolphins.
There's many things out there that will just ruin your day really quickly.
And these rigs are costing you up to $200.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
The braid's
That much?
$200 alone.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yep.
You got to respool the whole thing.
Yep.
Plus
And
all those
your lights are,
lights,
what are
yeah.
your lights? $20, $30 each at
Yeah.
least.
And then your little
Just-
diamond lights
Yeah,
too.
and they're whatever they are. Hooks, squid skirts, all that sort of stuff. And all the time it takes to rig these beautiful baits, and they can just be ruined by a big fugu.
Look, I'll just put it out there. Like, how big does the leather jacket grow to? Could have been a giant leather jacket.
Well, ocean jackets are normally quite small, like probably about this big.
They are also known to be quite nippy. So
Yes.
they must have seen one of these toads, or he's just trying to see if he can get me to talk about it on the podcast like an idiot.
Is he talking about ocean jackets or toads? Actual fugu?
No, you said toadfish.
Yeah,
it
there
could be
you
a
go.
million things. It could
Yeah.
be a giant cooter.
Nah, he's claimed it was a toadfish.
They must
so-
have seen one or
Yeah.
something. I'm not sure. but that's what I heard.
Mr. Fugel.
Yeah, so we did get a report from Brendan out there. They went out in our mate Joshy's new 49-foot Riviera and did a couple of days.
39.
Oh, 39, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You've upsized him.
Yeah.
Let me just set the scene. Like I watched on the Instagram.
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes. Captain Brendan.
Captain Winger. He was asleep on the floor.
What was he doing in the kitchen, Joey? He was asleep on the floor in the kitchen.
There was food nearby. It makes sense.
He was very pleased to be up on that bridge piloting that boat. He was
I
quite happy with himself.
That bridge looked quite comfortable. There was like front seats in front of the helm there.
Yeah, it looked like a very nice fishing platform.
Looked unbelievable. There's like a cabin and sleeping on the floor and like a little dining table.
Imagine the foodery, Joe.
Oh, mate, Joe would be cooking roast pork like every night, I reckon.
Yeah.
It would be just amazing.
And then
Would we be vomiting at night though, Joe?
Nah.
I don't know. No, you just got to take your pills. But the other thing I love about that where they're at is it's docked at Meetung, I believe.
At the pub.
Pawsey's beloved Meetung pub.
That's why they got the berthing there, isn't it?
Well, apparently it's the only one they could get, so it was just fate.
right.
It happened to be at a pub. So it worked out really nicely
There's
for them.
plenty in the North Arm in lakes there.
Yeah,
Plenty.
right. Oh, they went out on the Friday. Apparently it was a bit rough on the Friday. They only got like one drop in and then they vomited all night.
I heard
they?
Brendan crash through the bar. Just random rogue raves were coming through the bar apparently when he got out.
Oh, yeah, he said something about that. There was some sets coming through. And yeah, so it wasn't a very comfortable night on the big riv.
Dave, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I'd like to know how, on that riv, how long does it take out to get to the Swords? It's a big diesel engine.
Oh, I don't know what they were cruising at, Joe.
I think once I just saw the sounder and they're going about, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 26 knots.
That's pretty quick.
That's quick, isn't it?
I thought maybe 17 or 18, but
Maybe Brendan was just doing a flat stick thing.
maybe. They
It was-
did use
it was
800
calm.
litres of fuel, apparently. So
How many?
800 litres.
Wow.
is it diesel or unleaded?
Diesel.
Yeah,
So that's at least $1,600 of fuel. But mind
Wow.
you, that's their accommodation too.
Yeah. It actually works out all right if you split it with a few
And the
people.
gen set would have been running overnight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they had the generator going.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's
and the water maker.
I would have
So that was going?
expected. I would have expected about that much.
Yeah.
Um,
Which isn't bad. If you've got 4 people, that's $500 each.
Wait,
Yeah.
water maker?
Yeah, a lot of these big boats have water makers.
What does it
Desalination.
mini diesel plants.
Yeah.
really? It
What,
changes
you didn't know about desal plants?
it changes the seawater.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that one has that, but
A lot of these big boats have water makers.
Yeah, I believe it, but isn't that a fairly that's a pretty newfandangled thing, right? Or they've been
Not
around
really.
for a long time.
A long time, Joey.
There you
pretty
go.
common. Yeah, so the next day apparently they fished pretty hard for nothing. They got a few bottom fish on the electric.
I heard a couple of gurnards,
Just
to be honest.
little ocean perch things.
There was an Instagram post of trying every canyon !
Yes. And some of the sound shots I must say that he sent through did look really good. Some big marks on there.
I did see that.
Potential swordfish. Everyone was actually marking what looked like swordfish. So it's probably looking all right there once all the
Yeah.
pests move on.
Well, Joel was saying he's not going back until those fugus are gone.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like, he's not going to bother. Maybe he's trying to scare everyone away.
Oh, maybe. Maybe he had a really good trip and he's kept it quiet.
But some of the bycatch I saw from the boats out there over the weekend included really nice albacore, some harpooker,
I did see the albacore were over 20 kilos.
good alby dogs,
Yeah.
good alby mangles.
So
Yeah.
people getting pooker as well, are they?
Yeah, harpooker, the ocean perch like Brendan got, ling and blue eye.
Yeah.
So at least, you come in with a bit of a feed.
I reckon harpooker would make a good palmer too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice white flesh.
Anything will make a good palmer.
Pooker palmer.
Pooker palmer.
Puka. Mama.
You got to catch them first.
Yeah. I'd love to get one.
Yeah, so many boats out there and only really one sword came in from Richie, unsurprisingly. So, well done, Richie. We're still doing our
Oh,
reports.
actually, yeah. Down at Port Mac, Thomas Pinto and his brothers, they caught a few barrels. He sent in a photo. Wish I had it for the report here.
the codmaster.
Yeah, yeah.
Couple of big Port Mac went absolutely bonkers over the last week with
Yeah.
Very large tuna. Many boats with multiple large tuna
Yeah,
on the deck.
a lot. There was even records trying to get broken here. I believe there was 150 kilo ones weighed with guts and blood still in it to try and make records.
What's that?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Missed out by 50 grams apparently.
All right.
what 151 and 161 in the last week?
That was at Port Fairy, I think, those ones.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
couple of real big ones at Port Fairy. Yeah.
Well, the shot was back at the Warrnambool ramp, but I don't know if those boats might have tracked towards the west or not.
Not sure, Joe. But yeah, there was that. There was a 160 and as you said, 150 caught out of Port Fairy last week, which is some really big fish. And yeah, Port Fairy has even up to the last few days been producing a few big fish still.
Yes.
So you don't have to go to Port Mac for the barrels, but
I did see Salty Dog got onto another one yesterday, was it?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
He's doing well.
yeah. So that's really quite world class.
And he's
Fishing down that way.
calling this the season of all seasons as well. So it's not just me
Yeah.
who's noticed it.
Okay. The other thing we've seen out of there has been a few slender tuna,
Oh, yes. We
which are
did.
these literally look like a bluefin but slender.
Okay, I've got it up on Wikipedia here,
Yeah.
and it's got a completely different name.
Okay.
I don't even know how to say that. How do you say it?
Well, you don't have it on the
Allotonus
screen.
phalli.
We can't see it on the screen.
Look,
Oh, sorry.
I only got told about slender tuna just before we went on air today, and my mind's totally blown. I'm like, what do you mean slender tuna? Do you mean they haven't had dinner? Like,
You should see their pectoral fins. They're like little nuggets.
So that's
hanging off them.
Allotonus phalli by the looks of it. So Thunus is basically scientific name for tuna. And yeah, there's been a few of these turning up. But someone put a photo, which I've grabbed off social media, and the flesh on them looks absolutely shocking.
Okay, Joey, are you prepared to eat something that looks like this? This is the flesh.
all right. I've
So
heard
we don't
about
know if they all look like this because I've never caught one before, and I don't think Dave has either.
No, never.
And this guy's processed this, and Dave's just sent it to me. So be prepared to eat something like this.
it. Oh,
Look at Joey's face.
you're joking. Oh. Yeah, put that back up. Okay, so like for people that are listening, it's like a black fillet with a bright red bloodline with blotches of pink.
Now, what are these little white parasite-looking things? What is
I
that?
don't know. Maybe
That
they're
looks
parasites.
absolutely awful.
Doesn't look very appealing, does it?
No.
I'd be putting that straight through the burley pot, Davey.
Now,
Well,
I'm not
maybe-
sure.
Maybe
if,
just don't keep it, Joe.
I'm not
Either way
sure
to
if
go.
all slender fillets look like that. It could have just been this one that was perhaps sitting on the deck cooking. Who knows? Are these warm-blooded tunas as well, or not?
I'd assume so. Aren't they all the same?
I'd love
We've got
to.
Wikipedia up, but anyway.
Could you bring up a picture of how one actually looks? I'd love to see one.
Okay, well,
Well, they look like a bluefin, but slenderer,
yeah.
basically, Joe. So, yeah, been a few of those caught. Are we
Okay,
actually waiting for you to get this up?
No, no, keep
that's
talking.
all right. Slender tuna,
Slender tuna, Joe. Slender tuna.
Special K Jenny Craig tunas.
Yeah. So, moving back locally, away from the tunas. Are we getting them up here, are we?
I'm just showing Joey what they look like.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're quite slender.
Is that one?
No, that doesn't look like one, but that one definitely is.
Yeah. Maybe that is one.
Yeah, they got like
See-
they got stumpy fins.
See the little
Oh,
nuggets?
look at its dorsal. It's not
Yeah.
even big at all.
No.
Yeah, they're like stumpy fins. That's interesting.
With mouldy flesh.
Yes.
Yeah, moving back towards home, whiting, snapper, all that stuff going
Dave,
on.
I did see the snapper turned back on for Easter.
They did.
Like there was like 88 centimetre ones caught, and
Yeah.
charter boats were banging them again for that Good Friday bite.
There's
Amazing.
and there's always a good run. I know deep off Mornington about Anzac Day coming up to sort of now.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Might be worth a try.
Spot on, Joey. As that water's cooling down, the fish are continuing to fire. So there's always that option if you're not into big game fishing and long drives. The local fishery is still good because we've also got lots of really nice squid around in both bays. My brothers actually went out on Friday in Western Port and got a few nice squid just off Stony there.
Very nice. I enjoyed the squid off there.
Yeah, nice, easy fishing, and they're good eating, good bait, all that sort of thing. The other thing in Western Port was the kings.
Yes.
We've had a report
yes.
sent in.
So Jason's done a little video.
I noticed he was just trying to call you then. Was he trying to stop you from spreading his report?
I don't know, but he sent me the video, so it's going up. So he has gone down to Western Port, I think it was last week, some stage, and he's gone in Western Port and caught 2 metre kings on a double.
2 meters.
2 1 metre.
Oh,
kings.
2 metre long kings.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? 2 meteries.
Yeah, so here's his little video.
Oh, crikey.
Just like I said, I'm wind against tide. The podcast, tide was the circuit hooks, double hookup, meter kings. Put a tag in these guys.
His boat seems to be sinking.
oh no, he's like doing a live well on the deck of his.
I have noticed these kingfishermen seem to flood their boats.
Is that a self-draining deck or does he just fill his boat with
He's-
water?
Well, obviously he had the drain going to keep these fish nice and, I guess, wet.
He's plugged up the drain.
Yes.
He's really just filled his boat with water there.
But
At
well
least the
done,
fish are
Jace.
happy.
You found the Western Port Kings. They're back, guys. They're back.
I'm sure Jace will be providing GPS marks and some exact data for them very shortly.
It might be on one of those.
subscription sites.
Yes.
Jace's has got to start his own one.
Yes. Oh, you might have.
Ace's fishing spots.
Oh, shit.
There you go. Yes, that's a good effort.
So well done,
That's what happens
Jace.
when you just keep persisting
Yep.
again and again.
And he did tell me in Western Port, don't ask questions. That's all he said to me.
Well, I'm going to ask questions. Was it on the boys?
No, he would have said it was offshore if it was offshore, but
Oh, yeah, well done. I reckon, look, I got a few other reports, but it's basically we've covered most stuff and we're dragging on a little bit here, so we might move on from that one.
yeah.
Unless you guys have anything else to add.
Not particularly. Like, I think we've covered the bread and butter species that everyone's been catching, and
Yeah.
Look, reserve me a spot for next week's hookup.
yeah.
I'll have a report.
Oh,
for you.
Joey's actually
I've gone out and said it.
he's implementing a plan here, guys. This is actually going to be exciting because he
It'll-
was sure he was going to do something this week. He said, "That's it. I'm making it happen." But he's gone to another gear here.
Yep.
What's your plan, Joey?
You just have to wait and find out. But just reserve me a spot for some hookup.
At the very worst, we'll have a real estate report, Joe.
I reckon.
Yes.
I reckon he's planning a trip to Fairy with Shu.
No, but Sean's got family commitments at the minute, so yeah, I need to find a boat. And you guys seem to have used all your leave passes for fishing.
I wouldn't say that. I've had a very family-oriented weekend, Joe. Getting a few brownie points back in place.
Very good.
I hope Maddie doesn't listen to this.
Next week's probably a write-off for me because my wife and my beautiful 3-year-old are back from New Zealand as of tomorrow, so
They can come.
they can come.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that'll do us for the reports, I reckon. And before we move on to our questions, I don't know how many questions we've got here. Probably not many because everyone's asleep on their Monday. We're bringing back one segment, Adrian.
Oh
One
my
we like
goodness!
to call What Grinds My Gears.
To Peter Griffin for You Know What Really Grinds My Gears.
Thanks, Tom. You know what really grinds my gears?
You know,
Dave, tell me what grinds your gears.
well, what grinds my gears, Adrian, is I've seen this a few times lately, is people using whole bluefin, which are a beautiful species that have been in the past listed as critically endangered. They're now recovering, so they're on the right track. But there's people taking these fish for the sole purpose of using them as shark burley.
Well, technically,
Whole-
they're allowed to do this.
Are
because-
they? I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to use whole fish,
Ah,
whole
okay.
bluefin as bait.
Look, whole bluefin.
Yeah.
If it's got 3 hooks in it, I think it's legal.
No, I don't. I'm pretty sure that you're not allowed to use whole bluefin as bait or burley. You can use
I've
offcuts
seen-
and offal.
Hang on, I've seen marlin fishers use full tuna, like yellow fins, and
Yeah, I'm not talking about them.
what's the difference?
I'm talking about bluefin.
Okay.
I'm going to put my hand up, and I've used bluefin for burley before, but that
Yeah, but it's offcuts. You didn't just kill a bunch of bluefin for the sole purpose of using them
not
for
for
burley.
the sole purpose of burley, but it's like I haven't gotten through the meat that I've taken home, and
Yeah,
it's
but
been more
these-
than 3 months in the freezer, and I've used it for whiting
Yeah,
and snapper burley.
What Dave's
Yeah,
trying
but
to say,
Joe,
people are deliberately snap freezing whole fish, chucking it in the freezer as a whole, and then when they go shark fishing, they pull these whole tunas out of their freezer and take them on the boat.
Wow.
You're diluting what I'm saying.
No, I'm not.
You're using the offcuts, which everyone does. And yeah, you've forgotten to eat some in the freezer, which is a shame, but you know, it does.
No,
happen.
I'm shocked. I'm like that actually happens. Yeah, wow.
Well, it doesn't sit well with me that people are killing such a precious commodity that, you know, cultures all over the world pay a massive premium to just get some of this meat because it is really good eating and it should be appreciated. And people are just using them to catch sharks, which, let's be honest, they would eat anything. You don't really need to be using somewhat endangered.
Yeah.
Well, not endangered, but precious bluefin tuna for that.
I'm pretty sure the longliners, the best quality tuna they get on their long lines goes straight to Japan. We don't get to look at those fish.
No, I think only recently there's been any local market for bluefin because they were going for so much money overseas.
Yeah, there you go.
I think over COVID there was some. I think that it was hard to export fish or something like that, and there was a bit of a local market started to happen. But
yeah,
And I have seen that mako shark fishing still, even in this autumn season, is still very, very popular at the minute.
it is.
yeah.
But like I said, you don't need the frames are more than enough. You don't need to be keeping fish solely to just bloody feed to dumb sharks.
And look, how much is one of those, 5 kilo, 10 kilo burley sausages?
Now this comes to the point where I say where people just kill because it's glory, and then it gets to the end of the day, and it's easier maybe to chuck the whole fish in a freezer.
Oh, yeah, you can be guaranteed that not everything's getting eaten. And I, the other thing I love is when someone will hang a big tuna and they write the weight and then they go bled, like well, yeah, you'd want to hope it's bled, mate. What's the point of keeping it if it's not bled? It'd be ruined.
It's absolutely awful. Big barrel tuna
That
that's
is
not
very
bled properly.
Yeah, it tastes bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's awful.
You're going to keep them. You want to look after them.
I've said it a few times on this podcast. Best barrel ever eaten was hung in a cool room for a week. I think something to do with a friend of mine went on board with Salty Dog, and that was.
Is that Sub McCluskey?
No, it was it was a local Warrnambool fella, Nathan Vick. He went out on Salty Dog, and they got a barrel. They got it in straight away, took it into the cool room, and let it hung. So all the blood came out of it. The meat was cool. The meat will shrink when it's cooler, and the blood will come out, and the meat is just absolutely next level.
Oh,
It's a
beautiful.
lot of work if you kill a big tuna. I remember last week we spent like a whole week cutting up
It was
and
two
portioning
fish, yeah.
and because we ended up keeping more than we wanted, but we still made sure that every bit of it got used.
Oh, 100%. You know, since I got back to Melbourne, all I've eaten is tuna. And it is bloody delicious.
Albi mangle
Oh,
palms.
and bluefin I've been having.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got some tuna back off my Indian friends that I gave barrel to the other week, and I got it back in a curry form. It was
really?
delicious. Oh, yeah.
That's
and
good.
I got pickled curried tuna as well.
Oh yeah, my dad does that.
And I
Mauritian
just
thing.
put it straight on fresh bread with a bit of Kewpie, and it was so magnificent. If the fish came like this in a can, I'll go for it. It was just absolutely amazing.
Oh, you guys are making me jealous. I've been so busy with work. Like I woke up on Good Friday and totally disregarded the mass supermarket closures on Good
I know,
Friday.
you called me panicking, and I thought, he's coming over. he's coming over.
Probably
to
should have
eat
come
rice.
over on Good Friday or
Yeah,
Saturday that
Good
we had those palmers.
That was Saturday.
Saturday, because we had some nice palmers. Oh, bloody delicious.
Next time.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. That's what grinds my gears. But do we want to move on to questions on Instagram, Adrian?
Yeah, sure. That sounds
Actually,
great.
I feel like there's not very many there.
Okay.
Did you have a soundbite for this? Like, wasn't it something like, hit me with your questions?
Oh, no, I don't think we recorded that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Dave wasn't quite happy with how he sounded.
Oh, well, just use what Joe just did. Well, there you go. We've got a soundbite now.
Okay, so Dave's put up this post here. We're doing a post.
Oh, it's a real bad response.
Yeah. It's not good.
But we'll go through them anyway.
Stu Kent, he's saying, do you have to grow a beard to be a top fisherman? Seems like it's the secret.
Well, yeah.
It's obvious, isn't it? I'm still letting mine grow into a nice puffy thing, and then I'll get myself a pipe. And
Well,
then
yeah, every old man
I'm
of the
done.
sea has a beard.
And a pipe. Don't forget the pipe.
Proven to increase fishing productivity by 80%. I don't know how Jonah catches anything. It's very clean shaven.
Let's be honest. He's from Hong Kong, China. He'll get mad at me for saying China at the end, but he's from Hong Kong, and I don't think they grow a lot of beards over there, do they? No, well,
Don't they grow the
whiskers,
long
yeah.
curly mustache like a Shaolin master?
Yeah, but there's only like 3 hairs that come out.
Only when you become a martial arts
Yeah.
expert do you grow a beard over there. Is that right, Joe? Or is that a gross generalization?
No, I'm just thinking of Double Dragon from 1986 video games.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of too. Yeah, I think beards are very helpful. Next question from Kim, who needs a special mention because he hooked up to a barrel and a stick bait at Port Fairy last week and fought it for an hour and a half.
Yes,
Kim Barnard.
Him and Shane. So
that is devastating
great
when
effort.
you lose one on the side of the boat.
Yeah, they pulled the hook. So great effort to get the hook up. Bad luck pulling the hook there, Kim. He said, how do you keep the other boats from getting too close to you when you're hooked up to a jumbo?
You just yell abuse at him on the radio.
Yeah.
No, I've seen Dave on the radio very aggressively telling,
I don't know about that.
give me some room.
I've actually thought about getting an air horn on my boat for times.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Like just
Oh, Jesus. I don't know why people feel the need to get close to other boats that are hooked up. Like, I've never, ever seen anyone actually hook up doing that. Like, you've already drifted away from where you've hooked the fish anyway.
Yeah. You know, when I was hooked up solo the other week, I had about 3 or 4 boats trolling right next to me because I think that because you got a fish there, that there's going to be more fish. Even though I drifted 2 kilometres off where I hooked up.
When I was on that barrel the other week, Brendan was doing spins around us, which was getting footage and photos for us, which was lovely. But because it was him and Pawsey, they couldn't be bothered pulling their own lures in. So they were,
Yes, do you remember that?
They were constantly at danger of tangling our fish with their lures.
Yeah, we're doing like we're circling this fish, following its pinwheel the whole time. That's the only way we could get line back because it just wanted to be under the boat. And Brendan kept trolling right next to us. So every time I do a circle, I'd almost be, running over his spread.
Yeah, it
Unreal.
wasn't ideal, but all worked out all right. So was that the only question there, Adrian? There's another one.
Nathan McDermott, it's more
That's
of a
right.
statement, not a question. Big thanks again, guys, because Nathan was asking us a lot of questions about Port Fairy and he got his first ever tuna on his boat. Not a barrel, but his first ever tuna. So well done, Nathan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Congrats.
There's just one more in messages here that I'll read out, which was Shane Fergus has said, what depths are you finding the barrels in at Port Fairy, which we sort of covered a bit earlier. We were in 50 metres the other week and I've certainly noticed they're sort of pushing out and west a little bit from what we could see. And we got them the other day in 55. I know they're sort of out over 60 at the moment. That's the thing about tuna, very unpredictable. They could push back in shallower again, or you don't really. It's very, very hard to accurately predict where they're going. But I'd be working my way out a little bit deeper at the moment and maybe off the back of Julia Percy Island.
Yeah.
I think there's been a few fish sort of travelling that way. But I think that sort of wraps up the questions. Everyone's obviously at home.
Yeah, I got a question. I don't know
you
if
got a question, Joey.
I don't know if Adrian might want to get this up on the computer. I'd love to just see the current long range forecast
Oh,
later this week. Can we just do a little
Where are
weather?
you looking at, Eaglehawk Neck? Or
Oh, we'll just do the West Coast for now. Oh, give us both if it's not too much trouble.
Okay, well, just,
So people who are
talk
listening,
through it here, Joey.
hey, we forgot a question. Rahul said promoted on Reality Records. Thanks, buddy.
That's not
seems legit.
is that a question at the end of it, though?
Reality Records?
Look, I just reckon people that are listening to this podcast today thinking maybe you're going fishing later on in the week.
Okay, so Tassie's written off. Oh, no, it looks pretty good.
And I'm thinking,
Who's Bodie lining up, Joe? Or are you trying to get on anyone who listens to this podcast, Boat?
well,
What day would you like to go, Joe? And we'll line you up a ride.
I'm looking at Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday. If any Wind Against Tiders are going jumbo fishing or swords, Thursday or Friday, Joseph Fernand, Decky Extraordinaire, is available and he will get on your boat. and he
Southwest
will,
looks amazing, guys, on Thursday.
Well, you guaranteed your report will be on this show.
Joe will
next
get on the
week.
boat. He'll provide food.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday both look amazing off the
don't-
southwest.
even understand the food that he will provide.
I thought it was. I saw on Seabreeze it was up to a 5 metre swell. on
Don't worry
Wednesday.
about that. You just
Swell
look at the
smell.
wind. Yeah.
Swell, smell, you say?
Swell's nothing without wind.
I am known for Vomitron 2000.
You are
Yes.
not. Do you
No,
vomit?
he is. I've seen him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Thursday and Friday. What's Tassie? Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, no, it looked all right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jonah. Can we get Jonah on the line? All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up, boys.
Oh, no, Thursday was terrible. Sorry, I lied.
Lovely to see you both on this Monday morning.
Oh, thanks, David. It was good to get one out. Punch one out early.
Yeah.
We're going to do 2 this week or just the 1?
We might try and do 2.
Maybe Friday or something.
No promises though, people. But we'll see how we go. But, we did put up a video last week of your Taz Bazz.
We actually did 2 videos last week.
We did. You did.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
plenty of content going up there, people. Make sure you jump on and like and subscribe, even though I'm going to play that audio again now.
What's up, you bloody legends? Thanks for listening to Win Against Tide again. That's it for another episode. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'd be doing us a massive favour. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thanks, guys. And yeah, that's the
Peace.
end of the show.
Out.
Chin of God.